How about this? We're joined by the author and former SAS Sergeant Major Melvyn Downes. Welcome. So great to meet you at last.
I can't believe it. I'm on the Jeremy Vine show. I'm on tally.
Well, yeah, it's funny. We've talked on the radio, haven't we, before?
Yeah,
and not met.
When I surprised Paddy McGuinness, I was camouflaged up.
It was so funny.
So
I was interviewing Melvyn, and Paddy McGuinness was doing his big charity ride on a rally chopper, and you and he know each other really well, and you were camouflaged right next to him, and he stopped, and then you just appeared.
Yeah, I just jumped out there. It was fantastic. It really surprised him. But what people didn't realise, I was out there. I was waiting for about 2 hours. I was freezing.
I thought these things always involve somebody sitting in a hedge for at least 2 hours. Yeah. Mind you, that sort of describes your career a bit as well, because we're into SAS here, and amazing military career that Melvyn has had spanning 20 years. 12 of them in the SAS, and I'll show you the book here. It's called Unbreakable, and it tells Melvyn's story from childhood, tough childhood, then his time in the military, and also, crucially, life after serving as well, which is never easy for our armed forces personnel. So we start, don't we, in Stoke, and it's a tough estate.
Yeah, I'm a bloke from Stoke and so proud of being from there. But back in the day, when my dad, he came across in the original Windrush era.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of racism then, you know, especially. And he instilled a lot of discipline in me and just told me, be resilient, treat everybody how you find them. There's good and bad in all races, all religions in society.
Wow, he sounds like an amazing guy.
Oh, he was an amazing guy. And
because it was hard, there's hard times for Windrush people, and the way that Britain invited them over and then treated them quite badly.
Yeah, that's what a lot of people don't realise.
Yeah,
they were invited over after the Second World War to help rebuild the country, and it was the motherland. My dad came across here and he used to make me stand up for when the national anthem come on. And, you know, he's a royalist, and he's so patriotic, and he was full of life and full of energy and so positive. And that's what I take from him, and I get the resilience from him, because what I heard, and is from other people as well, what he went through and how he protected anybody who's been bullied. He just didn't like it. It doesn't matter what colour, what race, he'd step in.
It's lovely that your book is, in a way, a bit of a tribute to your dad. Yeah. I think. I'm just wondering whether I know you got bullied when you were younger, and whether that gave you the strength to do the SAS later in life.
Definitely. That's where I get my resilience from, because I was getting bullied quite a lot. And as a kid, a 7-year-old kid getting chased by bullies, this is in the early 60s and 70s, and
this is in later life, but it's a beautiful image.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I was getting bullied a lot. And my dad actually said, you've got to stand up for yourself. You've got to fight them, no matter what. You've got to fight them, even if you lose. Don't ever back down. Be unbreakable. That's where we got the story from.
That's a really interesting lesson, though, because I don't think it's one given today. I remember my dad said the same. If you get hit them back. Hit me, he said. Hit me as hard as you can. And I think now that lesson you wouldn't give to contemporary kids.
No, I won't give that now to kids. However, you've got to be resilient, because I say to everyone, everybody's going to face problems in life, whether they're social problems, you know, bullying, sexism, etc., or financial problems, or grief, and I've faced all of this, or psychological problems. We've all going to face these hurdles. And if you've got a resilient mindset, you can get over them.
Yeah.
And
when you were in, I've interviewed people in the SAS before. You're the first person of colour I've met who's been in the SAS. I'm sure that there are many others. Well, I'm not sure there are many others. It may just, I don't know. How did that feel like? Because you're clearly a minority in a minority.
Oh, yes. I was one of the first British black-born SAS soldiers. Yeah. Well, I say one of the first, because there was guys from different
Baghdad
countries.
there, by the way. Yeah.
You're looking pretty cool there.
I'm
just
cool.
going to
So how did that feel, Melvyn?
It did look a lot bigger. There was, I would say, Fijians and people like that in the SAS, but I'm on about British-born. But it doesn't matter. What I liked about the SAS was David Sterling's ethos was classlessness, humility, integrity, the pursuit of excellence, and a sense of humour. And if everybody's got that, if we live life by that, and my dad did, and I do believe I do, just think what the world would be like, you know.
I think we're seeing some pictures here of you in Northern Ireland, and I know there was a moment where somebody in Northern Ireland said to you, how are you, as a black man, coming to Northern Ireland on behalf of the British state? Did that rub off on you in some way, someone saying that?
Yeah, it was a Catholic saying it, and this was in 1984. I was about 19 years old, and he goes, what are you doing here, soldier boy? I'm like, just doing my job, I'm just protecting people. And he goes, no, but you in particular. And then he starts talking about the race riots, what were going on in UK, because a lot of black...
Coxtith and all that.
Yeah. And they were...
We're the same age, by the way, so I can remember all this, yeah.
So they were getting repressed, pushed down, sort of a bit like second-class citizens. And so I saw the Catholic side got more, less help than the Protestant side.
And did that make you think, wait, this doesn't make sense? Or did you think, no, I'm doing a job here?
No, I thought I was doing the job, but... Sorry, Jeremy. I thought I was doing the job, but also you got to remember, at that time, I couldn't have joined the Guards regiment. There were certain regiments, there was no black people allowed to join. So here I am.
Really?
I'm like, yeah, really?
That's amazing, yeah.
When was that bar lifted? I didn't know.
Well, it was actually first lifted in 1968.
Right.
But it wasn't until 1986 the first black person went into the Guards, and then he got bullied out.
So there's a lag.
It's kind of an unspoken, unwritten rule.
Unwritten rule. Now, if you see now, I watch Trip in the Colour, and it's a mixture.
Yeah. I've got to show a picture of Melvyn and his dog, because I know for a lot of people leaving the military, I do a bit with a charity called Soldiering On, which is all about life beyond the military, which can be really hard. And your dog has helped. I think we've got a picture of
oh, God.
But I know that it's not been the easiest for you after the military.
No, I've been through psychological problems, and a lot of especially Special Forces, will never talk about it. So I want to talk about it, because there's that many people who I know, not just veterans, that they just need to talk about things. And when they say my dog, he is the one what drives me, he helps with mental health, but he also helps with physical health. And even my wife says, you've got the screensaver of the dog, what about us? But I love Zoe, my wife and kids, I love you to bits.
The screensaver.
Oh, God.
So are the mental health problems, you think, related to trauma, as they could easily be? Because I know you were dropped into Iraq during the Gulf War. Or is it more to do with the fact that there's a level of excitement that's gone now after the military?
I think it's a bit of both, but a lot of mine stems back from my childhood.
Really?
And I didn't realise until I was speaking to Josh, the ghostwriter, who got me down to a T in the book. And I'm like, wow. And it brought back the memories, because I was more scared as a little kid running from school than I was on any of the Special Forces missions.
So what, like that fight or flight thing?
Yeah.
It's like from a really early age for you.
Because at an early age, you think you're going to die. I know I wasn't going to die. These bullies would only just be tormenting me. Yeah. But I think about that, and I look at my cat when he gets scared. His hair stands on the back of his head, and that's how I feel thinking about them days.
And just really quickly, when I talk to ex-military people, this sense of belonging, do you still kind of belong to ex-military groups? Are you in touch with your regiment and that? Do you still have that?
Yeah, I'm still belong to the military. To me, the British military is by far the best in the world, and so is the Special Forces.
Yeah,
and I just believe...
That's so true.
That's right. I didn't do that on purpose.
Jeremy Corbyn once did that. Tessa did it in reverse. I wanted to ask you just one more thing about, in the first Gulf War, a number of you were dropped into the desert behind enemy lines, essentially, and you had to stay there for 5 months, is that right?
Yeah, well, we weren't behind enemy lines for 5 months. We was waiting for the war to happen, but we just live in the desert. So you got to know, I was a corporal, about 26, and the young lads, we were 18, 19, and you was like their commander, but also like their big brother figure.
Was that the desert of Iraq or Saudi Arabia? Or
this was the desert of Saudi Arabia,
okay.
But then we went into Iraq for the Gulf War, and it was just, to me, it was part of the best experience of my life, because these guys followed me out into action, young lads, and they were from the Staffordshire Regiment. They weren't from the Special Forces, so it's big kudos to all the guys.
Amazing.